Hello wonderful people, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at Venus, Earth's twin sister. Now, she may look plain and white, but she has a lot going on. Venus is the second largest terrestrial planet, and it is similar to Earth in a lot of ways. It's got a rocky surface, a thick atmosphere, volcanoes. However, Venus is also very different. For one, the clouds are really thick. I mean, you can't even see the surface from here. And this isn't the surface, these are just the clouds. Second of all, Venus is what we'd call hellish. Very hot and very dangerous to live in, for our kind of life at least. If I were to take you to the surface, which I'm telling right now, you'd see that there is literally nothing here except for heat and clouds and sand and maybe some rocks. In fact, the atmosphere is so thick that you can't even see the sun. Look, where is it? You can't see it. That's how thick it is. The temperature is nearly 520 degrees Celsius, and that's how it stays pretty much always. Now, the reason why Venus is so hot is because of the greenhouse effect. There's gases like carbon dioxide and methane here that capture the heat from the sun and don't let it go. So the planet just heats up over and over until it becomes like this. However, Venus was not always like this. It's believed that in its early days, Venus and Earth were very similar. However, somewhere something went wrong for Venus and something went right for Earth. And here we are today. But apart from that, not much of a difference really. Oh, except the pressure. The pressure on Venus is enough to squash you like a bug if you were to stand on it. That's because of the thick atmosphere that is here. However, Venus is still only 80% the mass of the Earth and much less denser. Despite all of that, Venus is quite intriguing, especially from the Earth sky. It's the second brightest object in the night sky apart from the moon, and it's visible even in daytime sometimes. Since its orbit is so close to the Earth, you can observe Venus in the west direction at evenings or in the east direction in mornings before dawn. It's visible as a bright white dot. You may mistake it for a star. But Venus is beautiful. The irony, of course, is its name. Venus was named after the god of love. However, its nature suggests otherwise. But there may yet be life on it. We just don't know. Now, despite the nature of Venus, it's been quite a fascinating object for scientists, astronomers, and everyone else. And that's why several probes have been sent to Venus, particularly by the Soviet Union. These probes were basically metal hulls with balls. They were thrown into the Venusian atmosphere and they landed down, taking pictures of the surface. But because of Venus' nature, our technology can't even survive on its surface for long enough, and so all of those probes shut off after a few hours of landing. This is how hard the atmosphere and surface conditions are here. However, more missions are planned, mostly orbiters, that will give us more detail about this mysterious and Earth-like planet. So, now that we've looked at Venus and Mercury, I have a question for you. Did you notice anything common between these two planets? Now, they look different, they are different, but there is one thing that is common about both of them, and that is unique in the entire solar system. Can you guess what it is? Well, you're right, unless you're wrong, in which case Good try. The common thing about these two planets is that they don't have moons. All the other planets in our solar system have moons. But why don't these two have moons? Uh, the answer is, well, there's two answers really. The first is gravity, and the second is luck. Now, gravity, well, that's what holds the moons together, right? Then why is it that gravity prevented these two from having moons? For that, we'll have to look at a different picture to get an idea of what's happening. Alright, so here we are. Now, don't get intimidated by this complex looking picture that you have. What I want to show with this picture is the effect of the sun on different objects. You see, sitting in the solar system is like playing with gravitational fields. You have the gravitational influence of all the other objects along with whatever you're trying to orbit. However, an object is only able to hold something in its orbit inside a particular region. This region is called the Hill sphere. Now for a planet like this one, the Hill sphere is right here in this red line. So if a moon were to be dropped in this region, it would orbit the planet very happily forever. However, if it were outside of this region, it would be affected by the sun and it would be thrown outside of the orbit. That's the reason why Venus and Mercury don't really have any moons. They are too close to the sun, which means that the sun disturbs their Hill sphere so much that moons aren't able to stay. For this I have actually gathered a picture. Look at this. These are the Hill sphere radiuses of various planets and dwarf planets in our solar system. Now look, Mercury's radius is so tiny, and this isn't Mercury's actual radius, this is the Hill sphere, which means that a moon has to be closer than this distance in kilometers to be in orbit around Mercury. And the chances of this happening are too rare, in fact, to have happened. There could have been something that tried to orbit Mercury, but slowly it would have been pulled apart and started orbiting the Sun instead. Now for Venus, you'll notice that its Hill sphere is close to what Mars is. But then how does Mars have a moon and Venus doesn't? In fact, Mars is actually smaller than Venus. So what's happening here? Well, this is where we get to the second part of our answer, luck. Mars is lucky, Venus isn't. You see, Mars happened to be in the right place at the right time to be able to capture two moons, and possibly even more at an earlier time. This means that those moons actually captured rocks that happened to float within the Hill sphere of Mars and were then pulled into orbit around it. However, that never really happened for Venus. So, in theory, you could have a moon around Venus, but as it is, we don't have any. Weird how luck plays out, huh?